You know, this is a band that, like, I've never seen people hold their arms up at their shows like the people in Boston, the recent live video. And so you have to try and match Boston, right? This is a competition. So put your hands together, put them up in the air if you'd like. This is Ripe.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robbie. This is John. We are 2/6 of Ripe.
Which is also 1/3.
Which is I wasn't very good at math, John. It's a lot to take in. But we're going to play some music for you a little quieter than we usually do so that we don't make you guys all lose your hearing at 3 p.m. on a weekday. But thank you very much for having us. Thank you to the Bridge for having us, to John and Sarah for being so gracious. How are you guys doing? It is opening day.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure when you were going to say that we were from Boston, but we can just leave the football conversation for outside of this. This is a sacred space now. It's about music.
The torch was passed. What can we say?
So for who?
Yeah.
I'm joking. Like I said, we'll keep it out.
So our guests today are Ripe. They're opening for OAR tonight out at Starlight. Their latest studio album, Bright Blues, is out now on Glassnote. And they also put out a live thing called Live from MGM Music Hall at Fenway. And it is not only an album, but it is also a video that you can catch on Amazon Prime. Robbie and John, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
You know, I want to say that it's such an interesting thing to find the origin story of a band. And I don't think that you all saw your origin story happening at the time. It was an open door party when you first showed up at Berkeley, right?
More or less. Two of the guys in the band were using their apartment as sort of a constantly rolling party for people that didn't want to live in the dorms. And so we were all partying together before we were all making music together.
So when you walked in, you didn't know these guys, and then pretty quickly you were playing music?
More or less. I feel like we were at a music school, which is probably a helpful piece of information. So everyone was sort of peripherally aware that everyone could play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I met people hanging out before we started making music together. Me and John shared a floor in the dorms, and tolerated each other for a few days, and then started making music together shortly afterwards.
Sometimes bios, crunch a story down to the point where it's kind of a lie, right? But it sounded like you guys walked into the party, made music with these guys, and almost instantly you had stuff that you were putting up on SoundCloud.
The first thing that was made, which is considered a Ripe song, but in terms of the actual personnel that were on that recording, that's the lie. That went up immediately to SoundCloud, and it was sort of we kind of built under our feet as things were already in motion, where it's like we knew that we wanted to make music together, but the first track that came out, it wasn't even certain if it was a band, and then now it's absolutely a capital B band, and sort of the transition happened a little chaotically in the early days.
Yeah, so I think that we've been playing you all on the Bridge, so I think there's a fair amount of familiarity with who you are, but for people who might just be listening in and getting to know you for the first time, this is you like to make people move.
Very much so. Very kinetic show. You guys are welcome to sit when it's acoustified, but I get much more judgmental once we're playing a full energy show.
Yeah. So no pressure here, but when you are like a 6-piece band with horns, is it a little bit daunting to all of a sudden do an acoustic duo thing?
I'm very scared right now. But everyone in Kansas City has been really nice to us so far, so don't mess this up.
Yeah. Well, we are not worried. We heard sound check. It was lovely. Ripe is in our studio. We'd love to hear some music if we can.
Hell yeah. This song is called Noise in the Forest. Oh, oh, oh. Ready to blow. Not sure if you've ever really seen me explode. Quieter than you probably expected, but oh, here I go again. Watching myself, not sure if I'm coming off as playing defense. Terrified of circumstances I might regret. Here I go again. And it gets to me still, this fear of the dark, so I hold to myself like it's just noise in the forest. Can't tell the shadows from the trees. Might be a wounded, might be I'm choosing not to see. Don't feel like I can miss. When you made me feel like this, I'm just noise in the forest. Noise in the forest. Whoa, 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 whoa. Anger begins, I push you with it, that could make any sense. Lonely is a sickness that could look like a friend. Here I go again. Patiently there, you wait for the sun that comes after the rain. Hope you know I'm grateful every time you stay till I come round again. And it gets to me still, this fear of the dark. So I hold to myself like it's just noise in the forest. Can't tell the shadows from the trees. Might be a wounded, might be I'm choosing not to see. Don't feel like I can miss. When you made me feel like this, I'm just noise in the forest. Noise in the forest. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. Yeah. Said it's a little rumble getting loud as hell. It's a little rumble getting loud as hell. It's a little rumble getting loud as hell. You got a problem, well, you better come and tell me yourself. Little rumble getting loud as hell. Little rumble getting loud as hell. Little rumble getting loud as hell. You got a problem, well, you better come and tell me yourself. Noise in the forest. Can't tell the shadows from the trees. Might be a wounded, might be I'm choosing not to see. Don't feel like I can miss. When you made me feel like this, I'm just noise in the forest. Noise in the forest. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 yes. Little rumble getting loud as hell. You got a problem, well, you better come and tell me yourself. Thanks.
Up in the Bridge Studios, I have to say, you did not look scared.
Well, you know.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about the band sort of growing organically, and when it started out, it was really more about live performance than anything else. In fact, the first 7 years, you only put out 10 songs altogether.
Sounds about right.
So when you finally got around to putting out your first record, which is back in 2018, the Joy in the Wild Unknown album, you worked with Corey Wong, which is a super interesting choice.
Thanks. He's a friend now. Oh, you want more? The
Rock Boat.
Yeah, I was gonna say we met him on a cruise ship. He was playing guitar for this other musician, Ben Rector, and this is a very inside baseball reference, but we met him because we were cracking jokes about Tim and Eric's whatever I forget the second half.
Yeah.
And we were making fun of Steve Brule, John C. Reilly's character on that. And he overheard us and jumped in. And when he introduced himself as Corey Wong, I'm pretty sure my response was, wait, like the Wolfpack song? And that was the extent to which we didn't know each other. But we spent that week together on the boat. And we got along really well, and we have a lot of respect for his musicianship and his ear and his ability. So when it came time to make the record, we did a little bit of a shootout just to sort of get a sense, because most of the people we wanted to work with we thought of as musicians, not as producers. But when we got in the room with Corey, it was very apparent that he understood us and we understood him. and it was sort of a no-brainer from there.
And you were out like traveling and working hard, and then it's like it kind of got to be time to start working on that next record, and then COVID hit.
Yeah. I mean, we had, like, right before the process that sort of began Bright Blues, we had started working with two friends we went to college with, Noah Conrad and Ryan Linville, and just kind of in an effort to get a little deeper on sort of what our songwriting identity was, we wanted to start working with people that were doing that as frequently as we were playing shows, because we loved writing songs as a unit, but we wanted to see if there was more to creating songs that were going to live in a studio sense than just like getting in the basement and beating them to death. And so in starting to work with them, we kind of started to build a batch of songs that we believed in that sort of came out of that approach. And then the pandemic hit, and it became the insane gymnastics move of trying to turn these songs into finished pieces of work without the ability to be in the same room as the people helping us make the music.
So let me quote you. It was a hot mess of existential
Don't quote me, man. I mean, as I'm sure some people can relate to, and if you can't, I'm so glad that your lives have been going well the entire time. Nobody knew what was going to happen, period. But specifically for the touring music world, which had been our whole existence up to that point, it's like to go from shows to no shows for an indefinite period of time, where like the way we were able to survive, not necessarily having a lot of eyes on our records, was to play shows and to build through word of mouth. All of a sudden, the only word of mouth is the internet, and shows don't exist. We had not to burst the bubble, we had no idea we were going to make it out. We're very grateful that we did, and we feel like we did it with strength. But there were absolutely moments where I was like, all right, this might wind up being the part where I tell people that we all gave up and cashed our chips and left the table.
So you really wanted to do something new, and you wanted to do something bigger, and you wanted to do something better, and oddly, COVID kind of gave you the time.
And look at us now.
I mean, because that's this album, right?
100%. No,
right.
I'm being facetious, but no, I think that I don't like sitting in the belief that like the pound of flesh has to be given for the record to be good, but the pound of flesh was given in this case, and I'm happy with the record. We're in the middle of making some new stuff now, so we're finally working without a global pandemic breathing down our necks, and it is better. But I think that was a record where there were many moments scattered throughout the process where I know for myself, I think for everybody, we felt like we were playing for our lives, and for that to then yield something that allowed us to take the next step is something I'm going to be grateful for forever.
I don't know where you are in the process of making the next record, but I imagine that wherever you're at, it's a different process, because you described making this one as a bi-coastal logistic juggling act.
Oh yeah, there's an app called Audio Movers that we owe a lot of our recording process to, because it allowed us to record in Acton, Massachusetts while our producers were in Los Angeles. And without that, we probably would not have been able to make everybody feel physically safe during those years. We were relying on an app that was a lot less well known than Zoom, and we all know what was happening with Zoom.
So the other thing that I thought was really interesting is, with all this, in quotes, existential dread, you set out to make a joyful record.
I mean, we didn't need more existential dread. I feel like, at least in terms of what I try and bring to the band, it's to try and make things feel actually legitimately better, which means that it can only happen with some sort of clear-headed view of where things actually sit. And I'll speak for 2020, bad. And so, I don't know. It still felt like the goal was to try and do the alchemy of take what was happening to us and still find a way back to things feeling good, rather than both trying to just make escapist music or trying to make music that reflected the sadness of the times, as though anybody needed more of that than they were getting.
So for this new record, we talked about your early days at Berkeley. You turned a couple of people from Berkeley to help you with this record.
Yeah. Noah and Ryan, when we initially met them as substitutes when our horn players couldn't make gigs, and they were a little younger than us, but they were both very hungry about getting out to Los Angeles, starting to produce. And so in sort of the 5 to 7 years that we were road dogging, they were getting their chops up on this other side of the world, of the music world rather. And so I kind of wrote with them just to see what would happen initially, and we liked the results enough that we kept on sort of doubling down on them. And then we had a full collection of songs that was the result of this collaboration with them, and we went from there.
Our guests today on the bridge are Robbie and John from Ripe, who are opening for OAR tonight at Starlight. Love to have some more music if we could.
Yeah, of course. Your questions are really good, by the way. Scary good. Like I'm more nervous than I was before you started, but insightful and good. I'm just gonna make you sweat a little bit as well, you know. 2 hours, 2 joints, too high to drive. That's alright. I let my mind kick around the block a couple of times. 2 weeks, too good to say goodbye. Is now the time? There's something that I need to tell you. I know I love you, 'cause I said I love you too. What I felt less for than you. I knew I loved you, 'cause I said I love you too. What I felt less for than you. Took a little while to see it, longer to want it tell. This is the first time feeling that there's nobody else but you. Game is getting so easy, losing myself, it's true. Damn, it's just like the first time feeling there's nobody else but you. I try my best to simplify, to justify the way that I'm gonna do my best to get you off of my mind. Drive through the desert overnight to kill some time. There's something that I need to tell you. I knew I loved you, 'cause I said I love you too. What I felt this for than you. Took a little while to see it, longer to want it tell. This is the first time feeling that there's nobody else but you. Game is getting so easy, losing myself, it's true. Damn, it's just like the first time feeling there's nobody else but you. A little while to see it, longer to want it tell. Damn, it's just like the first time feeling there's nobody else but you. Oh. Ooh, oh, 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 oh. I'm singing, I knew I loved you, 'cause I said I love you too. Oh, I feel this for than you. Oh, I knew I loved you, 'cause I said I love you too. One I feel this for than you. Took a little while to see it, longer to want it tell. This is the first time feeling that there's nobody else but you. Game is getting so easy, losing myself, it's true. Damn, it's just like the first time feeling there's nobody else but you. A little while to see it, longer to want it tell. Damn, it's just like the first time feeling there's nobody else but you. A little while to see it, longer to want it tell. Damn, it's just like the first time feeling there's nobody else but you. Thank you.
Joined today on the bridge by Robbie and John from Ripe, who are opening for OAR new album, Bright Blues. And you know, when you work in radio, it's like sometimes it's like the heavens open and a project lands on your desk. Here's this new band. Well, Ripe, as a new band, you've been doing this for 13 years.
Yeah. It's nice though. I don't know. I feel like, bear with me. I feel like, you know, we're in our early 30s, and I feel like this is the first time in my life where I'm seeing some people like voluntarily slow down and decide that they're comfortable with the horizon that they can see. And I think the ability to be received as something new and something young at this age, even if obviously there are people that are doing this at 18 who literally have a 12-year head start on getting this thing going, it's nice to still be like slugging away like a new thing. And I kind of hope that, until we're at a point where things are, completely built out, we get to feel new to people for as long as possible. I feel like the last thing I would want to hear is like, Ripe is an old band. Like, I can live without that for another couple of months.
Well, okay, so pardon me.
Yeah, it's all right.
For my speech.
My ire is up, but you get a few more questions.
This is a radio station that exists to foster people who come to where they are with an organic vision and hard work. Mm-hmm. And that 17 or 18-year-old, God love them, they may be super nice, they may be really talented, but a lot of them just get plugged into a machine that's cranking out product. And so we're here for people who look at music as an art form and treat it with the respect that it deserves. So congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I definitely agree with that sentiment. And I think that there's people at all ages doing it, but I do think that is what separates the stuff that I fully love from the stuff that I admire.
So I've kind of alluded to this earlier, but that live video of you guys, hometown Boston show, those people had their arms in the air. If you want me to hold my arms in the air like those people did, I'm going to need a rope to hold on to. I would have told you that at 14 too. I mean, this is not about how old I am. This is just about those people are studs. They were with you the whole show.
No, I mean, we could feel it. That was, I feel like, usually big sort of landmark shows for us, and that at the time was the largest headlining crowd we'd ever played. I think it might still be, but at the time it definitely was. I just lost my memory of the last year. It was one of those moments where oftentimes when that happens, it sort of goes by in a blur. Your adrenaline is so spiked that like you can't really take anything in. And at least for me, that was one where it's like we met the moment in a way that felt really exciting. And I remember that show very clearly. My adrenaline was obviously very high, but in a way that felt like it leveled things out because of how crazy the actual event was. They also didn't tell us that they were filming until they had already filmed, which I, in hindsight, think is a brilliant decision.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was a multi-camera shoot, too.
Yeah. No,
that's nuts.
Maybe they had like said it in passing, but no one told us like we're going to film this and we're going to put this out on Amazon and people are going to be able to watch it on planes.
You thought it was going to be like somebody with their iPhone.
Yeah, or like a little bit of high quality content after the show to be like, it really happened.
So if people want to watch this, and why wouldn't you, it's Ripe live from MGM Music Hall at Fenway. It's not only a new live album, but it's also a video that you can watch on Amazon Prime. And when you guys came out on stage, and I believe that this is a fairly recent venue.
Yeah, MGM was built, I think, a year before we played it.
And it's like 5,000 people, and It's packed to the rafters. And you get the feeling when you guys walked out on stage that those 5,000 people were there to make you feel good. I mean, it was a moment, right? I think you guys were it looked like you were kind of blown away.
I was blown away. Were you blown away?
Yeah.
We were both, 2 out of 6 of us were blown away for sure. Other guys, ice in the veins. No, I think that something that we try to stress at our shows is that like this is like best when it's a symbiotic thing. Like there is the people who pay the ticket to like get the tickets. There's the band that shows up on stage. But if there's actual give and take between them, all of a sudden it can spiral into that thing that you actually want to tell your friends about or tell your kids about. And I feel like, I don't know, I have said this mostly joking to the OAR audiences this week. It was like, you already bought the tickets. Like the free serotonin is like right there. You just need to act like, just give a little more of yourself. And all of a sudden everything is better for everyone and it costs no additional money. And I feel like that's like, we've been pushing that for a long time. And like to actually feel received like that in Boston and to feel like the audience was also an instrument that we could play was super gratifying. I felt really lucky.
You have worked so hard, like in touring and playing shows to build this band, and you've had a couple songs on the radio now. And while you are still trying to introduce yourself to as many people as you possibly can, I'm guessing that there are people that are in towns that aren't Boston that are coming to these shows and singing along.
It's been a very pleasant surprise, specifically with the OAR scene, because while we are fans of their music, we did not know how much our audiences overlapped, if at all. And to see some people coming through knowing our music that are also going to the OAR show has been really humbling.
So let's talk about what's next. You guys moved to LA.
Shh. Austin band, man. No. Yeah, we've been living in LA for about 2 years now.
Wow, I've been, now I'm a little nervous. I'm a little afraid. But so work on the next record, where are we with that?
Somewhere in the last quarter. I wish I had more concrete things to say. We've got some new music coming out much sooner than that, but it's a larger batch of music, and we are trying to figure out what that means once it's all finished. But that's near the end of it actually existing, and then we need to figure out what to do with it once it exists.
Right. You know, you had that experience with this record. It's like the record's done, and then you sat on your hands for 2 years waiting for them to put this thing out.
You're going to get me in trouble, man.
You're coming out of your... Everybody knows record labels are like this, right? Oh, we have to set it up. We have to do timing. We have to do this. We have to do that. It's like, oh, just put the record out. It's a good record. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we'd love to hear another song if we could.
Yeah, of course. Thanks again for listening, everybody. And again, your questions are very excellent. And thanks for pushing me. This song is called Settling. You get mad when you get told to watch your tone, yeah, you get angry. But hold your breath while you count down to not be angry. Easier to bite your tongue. Whoa. Every time that you behave, every time you play it safe, you can feel it getting harder. Still you're waiting for things to get better, get better, but you're not sure if it's no, it's never, oh, it's never been done before. It might be harder, fighting, but waiting for things to get better, feels a lot like settling. Oh. It feels a lot like settling. It feels a lot like settling. You're still trying, but maybe if you let it go, we'll just stop trying. Finally said what's on your mind. To hell with time, it's easier to bite your tongue. Yeah. Every time that you behave, every time you play it safe, you can feel it getting harder. Still you're waiting for things to get better, but you're not sure if it's no, it's never, oh, it's never been done before. It might be harder, fighting, but waiting for things to get better, feels a lot like settling. Oh, it feels a lot like settling. It feels a lot like settling. A lot like settling. Waiting for things to get better, but you're not sure if it's no, it's never, oh, it's never been done before. It might be harder, framed out, but waiting for things to get better, feels a lot like settling. Oh, it feels a lot like settling. 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 Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Robbie and John from, of course, Ripe. They are playing tonight with OAR out at Starlight. The new studio album, Bright Blues, the new live album, is live from MGM Music Hall at Fenway. Not only an album, but also a video on Amazon Prime. And if you are distracted tonight, if you have some other plans, just remember this is why God invented the DVR.
You can be on your phone watching the game at a concert. Like, it's allowed.
Multitasking.
Yeah.
Multitasking.
If you're going to the game, go to the game. But if you're not going to the game, you can do two things at once.
Yeah, there you go. You have a lot of fans internally here at the station.
That's really kind.
Love the record. Thanks for, a day of show. You're going to be playing for thousands of people tonight, and to take the time to come over here and join us is an act of love and goodwill. And so thank you. Appreciate it very much.
You guys make it feel very good to do.
Ripe today on the bridge.